Hi, and welcome to this free masterclass. I am Leanne McLean. How to heal your heart, repair soul contracts with important people in your life, and finally have healthy relationships. Relationships with an intimate partner or your soulmate, relationships with your family, your friends, or even in your workplace. So in just under an hour, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the workings of your subconscious mind and your heart. We're going to look at how your subconscious mind runs your life and how we can use that to your advantage instead of allowing it to wreak havoc in our relationships, and why and how past traumas keep you from living in the present and how we can let them go so they no longer trigger you. We're also going to talk about habits, patterns, and limiting beliefs. To recognize that your habits and patterns and limiting beliefs are keeping you stuck and how we can break them, allowing you to step into the most authentic version of you and authentic relationship. How it's possible to remove the strain from your relationships and how you can finally feel connected and loved and loving again to the people most important to you. And stress. Stress is a huge disease in our culture. And this is no joke. What stress is and how it affects your health and your relationships, and that when you relieve stress syndrome, so much of your life will improve. You will be able to develop better relationship skills, be more present in your relationships, and just live with less stress. Both your heart and your subconscious mind are gateways to higher intelligence and your intuition. So we're going to be taking a look at how accessing past and parallel lives is important so that you can make changes in this lifetime that will last all of your lifetimes, how to communicate with your higher self, tap into your inner wisdom and develop your intuition, and come to know your guides, who they are, how they can help you, and that they are always available to you. So I really believe that humanity is evolving, but not just physically, but consciously and spiritually. So we also want to look at how being a holographic being influences you and our collective consciousness, that humanity, yes, even you, is awakening to its true nature, and how you too are evolving and why and how this affects your life today. How much creative power you actually have to manifest relationships, experiences, and the other things that you desire. So this program is for you if you are feeling stuck in your relationships, if you find them to be unsatisfying, longing for a deeper or understanding connection. Perhaps you're feeling like there is something more to life, more meaning and reason for being here. Have you ever been afraid that your subconscious mind secretly craves failure and that leads to self-sabotage? Basically, if in any way you are feeling stuck and you question why and wonder if this can be changed, then this is for you. It's also for you if you're ready to discover your most authentic self and experience more freedom in your relationships. Perhaps you're ready to elevate your consciousness and strengthen your connection to your divine and higher self. Let's just let that sink in for a minute. Repeat that. Strengthen your connection to your divine and higher self. Maybe, like a lot of us, you're feeling the evolutionary shift in consciousness, but you need some help and guidance in navigating it. You know, we're in an age, I really believe, where science meets spirituality, and I find this fascinating. This evolutionary shift can be confusing. This is new to all of us, but this is what evolution is. But we're in this together, and nobody has to do it alone. So like I said, my name is Leanne. I am a certified transpersonal hypnotherapist, and my specialty is cellular release hypnotherapy. I'm also a heart math coach, and I am a certified reconnective healer. Even though I have the training to use all of these modalities and then some, it is really my life experiences, even past life experiences, that brought me to where I am today. I'm a good hypnotherapist. because I have seen how this works from both sides of the cushion, both as the client and the practitioner. So, my biggest transformation that I've had to date is in my own relationship. And I just want to tell you this story. So, 17 years ago, I married the man who was going to save me. I had 2 young daughters, and I was living on $12,000 a year. Then my knight in shining armor appeared. I remember filling out that Scholastic book order form and how relieved I was that I could spend $30 to buy books for my kids. Everything was great. We got married, and then on the night that we got back from our honeymoon, it all shifted. He had put a Corona light in the refrigerator lying down on the shelf, and I asked him to put it in the door upright so I could put away the groceries that we had bought. The next thing I knew, he was in the garage yelling at me and that he had vowed that he would never let another woman criticize him. And if I didn't change my behavior, the marriage would not work. If I did not change my behavior, the marriage would not work. I was dumbfounded. I couldn't believe what was happening. I was confused. I had no idea what to do. There he was, spending the night in the garage on that ratty, smelly, lumpy old couch because of a beer in the refrigerator. The fighting just got worse and worse and worse. So fast forward 10 years. After 10 years of constant fighting, one night we had just had a big fight again about sex. And one night I found myself lying on my closet floor sobbing. I was hurt. I was scared. I was panicking. I knew this was bad, but my soul knew how terribly wrong this was. But I was stuck. I couldn't get out. I now had 4 beautiful children who I loved more than my own life. I had material wealth, a house that we had built together, literally sawed the boards and plastered the walls. I made a lot of money, not extreme wealth, but I admitted I was spoiled. I was a stay-at-home mom. I could travel. I drove a nice car. My kids were going to great schools. I shopped at Whole Foods. I drank Starbucks every chance I could get. From the outside, I'm sure that it looked like I had made it, like I had the perfect life. The reality was I was dying. I was clinically depressed. I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. I had turned into a monster who yelled horrible things that I'm not even going to cop to here. I became a master at disassociating, and after a fight, it would take me days to come back into my body and find the personality that I really wanted to live in. And I knew that I never actually would take my own life, but this is dark. But I came to a place where I understood the depths that people get to when they contemplate suicide. I knew how this would be possible for some people. Sorry. So I had 2 choices to make. I could either fix my marriage or leave my marriage. Either way, I knew at a soul level that there was a lesson here for me to learn, or that I had to decide what I was going to do with that lesson. Since I was a child, I have always asked, "Who are you and where did you come from?" I asked this of my family and my friends, and most particularly myself. I knew that my life had to amount to something bigger than this. I did not have to lie in my closet, curled up in a fetal position, trying to protect myself from the man who was supposed to love me. I didn't want to die with my children remembering me as the woman who never stood up for her beliefs or herself. There simply had to be more. I deserved better. So I started my own individual counseling. We went to marriage counseling. We spent a weekend in Washington, D.C. with Dr. Stosny and his marriage boot camp. I read every book I could find on abuse and personality disorders. Nothing was working or making a difference. Nothing. But then I started to focus on myself and what I needed. I dove into integral spirituality. I learned meditation. I learned reconnective healing and had my own reconnection done. I learned about the power of the heart through heart math. But the number one best thing I ever did when my life truly started to change was when I found a cellular release hypnotherapist. My life began to change immediately. So weight loss is actually what brought me to hypnotherapy. But before I could lose weight, I had to discover why I was holding on to weight. Diets don't work because it wasn't about the food. One of my biggest breakthroughs was when I cleared the limiting belief of hiding. That was a new one for me. I discovered that I was actually on the planet hiding from a higher spiritual entity that my soul had created a contract with. Most of my life, I have felt like I was hiding from something or someone. I was holding the extra weight in an attempt to hide from myself, to hide from my abusive husband, to hide from the reality I was living in, even hiding from my true self. So, in every hypnotherapy session I did, I cleared the energy associated with limiting beliefs, relationship patterns, and traumas. I was guided to understand that what was truly significant. I became an observer of my whole self, and yes, quite literally released and cleared all of the experiences that I had had so they no longer affected me. Miraculous. I was finally able to look at traumatic events in my life. I was never asked to remember the details of them if I didn't want to, but I could see how the events affected me, why I make decisions and the conclusions I drew based on my perception of what had happened. I explored my significant relationships. Well, I explored my significant relationships from a different vantage point. I discovered whole patterns that had been played out over and over again in many lifetimes. I realized how in this lifetime I could interrupt that pattern. This is evolution. I discovered agreements I had made with the key people in my life and how these affected our daily interactions. And I learned to communicate with them on a higher level. I know today that the world, the universe, is so much bigger than we could ever imagine. That is partly because as we imagine it, it grows. When I started exploring the world through hypnotherapy, reconnective healing, heart method meditation, I stepped onto a proverbial plank hanging over the edge of a cliff. That was both scary and exciting at the same time. But I put myself there on my own volition. What I didn't expect to happen is that I would be asked, pulled, compelled to jump off that plank. This was a leap of faith in the most immediate, profound, and concrete way imaginable. This, this was my come to Jesus moment. So I had a choice. I could stay small, keep living the same life I had, making the same decisions over and over again, keeping the same patterns and habits. And after 50 some odd years of this life, doomed to live another 40 or 50 in the same manner, or worse, keep repeating the same patterns and habits for lifetimes to come. I came to learn and to believe that life is not linear. Life permeates all time, all space, and all dimensions. And yes, I do want to evolve. This is why I am here. I don't want myself or the planet to continue to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. I want to make lasting changes that will elevate all of humanity. This is the nature of awakening, the true evolution, the nature of creating our own realities in the ever-changing world of multidimensions. I believe that we can have world peace, one consciousness at a time, and witness heaven on earth. Making a decision to live a conscious life, the big yes, is not a decision you make once. It is a decision you make in every moment. So quickly back to my relationship. What do you think happened next? Well, I faced the reality of my 17-year marriage. I saw that it was classic textbook abusive. I realized by being a codependent in this relationship, I was just contributing to the chaos. Through hypnotherapy, I got to the place where I realized without a shadow of a doubt that I loved my husband enough to cut the rope. As long as I was in his life, he would never have the chance for his own self-discovery. And really, I mean, who am I to deny him the experience that he came here to have? In hypnotherapy sessions, I had multiple experiences of past lives where he had killed me. I vowed that this lifetime would be different. I was going to save myself. So remember before I said I was dying? So with as much love as I could muster, I filed for divorce. I got out. I got my life back. Most importantly, I have the ability to heal from the experience and not be victimized by it. I changed a pattern that had been going on for centuries and gave us both the chance to change. While this body grieved the loss of the relationship, I distinctly remember driving down the street one day just sobbing and shaking. I couldn't even find enough Kleenex. But I saw and felt his higher self applauding me for what I had done. In hypnotherapy, I also cleared many of the traumatic events in my life, including all of the fights I had had with my husband and the abuse, things that had happened to me as a child that developed into my pattern of being in toxic relationships, and so much more. Trust me, I had just gotten out of one. I wasn't going to get into another one. But the key to this work is that these traumatic events in my life became memories. I was finally able to look at these events and was never asked to remember the details of them, but why I make decisions and the conclusions I drew based on my perception of what had happened to me. They no longer trigger me or have that devastating hold on me that they once had. They are now life lessons that I learned from, and today I can see that these necessary experiences all contributed to my personal evolution. Another one of the many, but one of the most significant hypnotherapy clearings that I did was my limiting belief that I was unsupported. What I came to understand was that I had always been financially supported by someone else. My dad, such a sweet, sweet man, my first husband, my second husband. So while I looked outside of myself for support, it was unavailable because I really needed to be looking at myself. I believed that the people I had relationships with were unsupporting, but damn it, it was all me. I was not supporting myself. So I declared to myself that I would stop relying on other people to support me financially. One time I told my hypnotherapist, who is now my mentor, I said, "You have the coolest job in the world." And she replied by saying, "Leanne, you can do this too." So one of the reasons that I've taken so long in my personal story on this webinar, because it's really not about me, but I just wanted to show you what is possible. So finally, after clearing being unsupported, I started my entrepreneurial career. This business, this program, all leading to financial success. And above all else, I am working in a field that supports my higher calling. My soul gets to be of service to you, to the planet, and the collective consciousness. Well, that's enough about me. So on to the webinar. The real problem isn't what you've been led to believe. So let's look at how your life can be better. It's not your lack of self-esteem, a belief that this is just the way it is, or that you'll never be good enough, or that relationships are hard work because you are a victim of fate or the universe or bad luck, or how loving you are, all of the bad things that happen to you, even stressful situations in your life, your parents, your spouse, your boss, your children, or the emotional baggage that you just can't get over. It's not even about your conscious mind. So have you ever asked yourself, what are your invisible barriers? Do you really know what your barriers to success and healthy relationships are? Do you really know what your invisible barriers are? Why aren't you living the most fulfilling life that is available to you? So if you have asked yourself these questions, here are my 4 secrets to break through your invisible barriers and shed light on them and have healthy, authentic relationships. They are, and we'll go over each of these: changing the program in your subconscious mind, clearing your traumatic events, start asking, who am I? And begin to discover your journey of awakening, develop and maintain your personal resilience to stress. So, there is a problem in your subconscious mind. Your habits, patterns, and limiting beliefs are all stored in the subconscious mind. In the formative years, because in our childhoods we are literally being formatted, from the time of birth up to about the age of 7, our brains are in a theta wavelength, making us very susceptible to programming from outside influences. Your parents, your neighbors, your community, and it can all be passed down from generation to generation. We are being taught how to live in the culture we were born into and how to survive on this planet. So this programming is stored as data in your subconscious mind. So my dogs have an entire backyard, but they have worn one small path from the back door to the gate. This is my very real visual reminder that neurons that fire together wire together. My dogs have the same habits and patterns and are literally creating neural pathways and the path in the grass that I can see. We get older and new experiences are downloaded, but we continually operate from the subconscious mind. We continually reinforce the same neural pathways, our habits and patterns get reinforced, and eventually these become our personality. So for me, somewhere along the way, I believed that I was not worthy of having a meaningful relationship. And I just continued to reinforce this in my life by seeking out destructive relationships. 95% of the actions that we take are governed by your subconscious mind. This is why we make resolutions that don't stick, like, I'll stop eating cake. Then all of a sudden you find yourself with a big bite of cake in your mouth. Who's been there? Your conscious mind is the one that we think we operate from. This is where we come up with great ideas and solve problems and plan our futures. But some of our great ideas are never fully realized. This is often because some invisible reason your subconscious mind is holding you back. So the conscious mind is often operating with faulty software with no ability of its own to escape from its own database. So even though you may have decided not to eat cake, your subconscious mind may be protecting you from something that is invisible even to you. So you eat the cake. As a result of this dynamic, our lives turn out to be very limiting, self-sabotaging, and even disempowering. Eventually, we drive ourselves nuts, and the subconscious mind will create illness, an imbalance, or even disease. We are very well aware of our conscious ideas and creations, but because we don't use our subconscious mind for thinking and creating, this operating system is often invisible to the conscious mind. So, the first secret solution is to tap into your subconscious mind. In cellular release hypnotherapy, I can talk directly to your subconscious mind. You will discover and understand your invisible barriers that are holding you back, especially in relationships. So, have you ever said to yourself, I am bad, no one will ever like me, women can't be trusted, men are lazy, I'm not good enough, I will never amount to anything, relationships are hard work, I'll never find my soulmate. These are just a few of the examples of limiting beliefs, and I'm sure you have your own too, but they are limiting you to a life that you don't want to live. I would rather be able to change those into, I am the good, the true, and the beautiful. I put trust in women. Men care. I am more than good enough. I am valuable and I am valued. Relationships are easy. My soulmate is waiting for me. All I have to do is show up. Fortunately for us, the subconscious mind knows exactly how to heal the body, the mind, and our emotions. We just have to instruct it to do so. I'll tell you, it never ceases to amaze me. When we have a conversation directly with your subconscious mind and we ask it if these beliefs are serving your higher purpose, Or perhaps there is a better way to receive what you need. The subconscious mind says, yeah, sure, why not? I see your point. And then the belief is cleared. Some sort of transformation happens every time I work with someone. So the second area where your subconscious mind gets in the way is how it deals with troublesome and traumatic events like you have experienced. Those are the specific incidents or the events that may have had a negative impact on your life. So sure, I'm sure you can think of your own, and some of these are very obvious to you. Maybe you were in an accident, maybe maybe somebody close to you died, having an effect on future relationships. Did your parents fight with each other when you were a kid, or maybe they still do? Or did you fight with people close to you? Have you ever been attacked? Anything like this can have a negative effect on how you manage your relationships. But troublesome and traumatic events can be even broader, like those down periods of time, maybe when you were experiencing grief, or even just a lost feeling, or a particular thought that repeats itself or haunts you. These can be events that you remember but don't think they are significant, like, I don't know, like some kid on the playground telling you to get lost, or even a time that your dad was too busy to talk to you. So go ahead if you'd like to and put these into the chat box so we can see what we're talking about. Many of these events we don't even remember, or at least your conscious mind doesn't remember them. But believe me, they are all stored as data in your subconscious mind. Anything like this can have an effect on how you love and how you let people love you. So your subconscious mind resides in every cell of your body. So if you have ever tried talk therapy or have tried to get over these with sheer determination, these are really surface solutions. They don't reach you at a cellular level. So these troublesome and traumatic events actually crystallize in our bodies. When we have a negative experience, we bind an emotion and a meaning to it, a feeling. And with the neurotransmitter chemical acetylcholine, this chemical literally binds the memory and the feelings associated with the memory of an event into our cells. So that's why if you try to think it away or talk it away, your conscious mind, with your conscious mind, the chemical is still in your cells. And these experiences and what we think of them are very, very deep within us. This is what happens when we bury our emotions. We literally bury them alive. So in any bad event, there are really three parts to your reality of the event. There are the facts, what actually happened, the feelings, how you felt during the experience, and how you coped with the event. What was your learned response to the trauma? This is what stays with you. So, when these three parts cross trigger, you continue to fail over and over again at whatever you're trying to overcome until some sort of intervention takes place. So, for example, look at a child who maybe withdraws or becomes angry in order to protect himself. And this may have worked well for the child, but as an adult, the same behavior becomes the reason that he is not able to have satisfying or intimate relationships. I think you can see that. So many of these behaviors or coping mechanisms we developed earlier on served a purpose at one time, but they eventually become detrimental to our well-being. Once they have outlived their usefulness but stay with us, they become a symptom. So, ta-da, the second secret solution is to clear these traumatic events, again, by accessing the subconscious mind. So in hypnotherapy, talking to your subconscious mind, we change the significance and energy of the event. This causes another burst of acetylcholine, which actually unlocks its hold on your subconscious mind, and you become open to new suggestions about the event. We actually erase the chemical bond at a cellular level. So in hypnotherapy, talking to your subconscious mind, we change the significance and energy of the event. This is how we can heal from PTSD, phobias, grief, and break free of our limiting habits and patterns. You have the power. You have the choice. So I just think this is so interesting. Let me show you how this works. There was a young woman who came to me because she was afraid to drive. And you can imagine that living in Wyoming, where we have no public transportation, this could be a significant issue. Well, as it turns out, she had been in a rollover car crash when she was 16. One night, she was out driving around with her friends, being a teenager, but also dealing with conflicting feelings from her church. She had recently told her parents that she was gay, and this was causing a lot of turmoil in her life. In hypnotherapy, we simply cleared the entire event of the crash, having fun, and all of a sudden the car is rolling, and the fear that brought up, climbing out of the wrecked car, checking on her friends, calling an ambulance, calling her friend's mom, going to the hospital, so on. But then the interesting part is we went on and cleared other things about her childhood, her family, her community. And I think that the clearing we did around both the past and the present relationship with her dad had the biggest impact on her healing. So we wrapped things up, and she was grateful for the work we had done, was feeling better, and off she went. And it was 4 months later that she just nonchalant told me that she was driving across country through several cities pulling a trailer. She said this so matter-of-factly, that as if she had done this all of her life, and that her family was supporting the move. Her fear of driving had become a memory who she used to be. She cleared her fear so entirely that she even forgot that she had the fear. And she only remembered that she used to have the fear after it was pointed out to her. In this case, clearing all of the issues in so many of these relationships had the biggest impact on the change that she needed. When she came in, she certainly didn't say, I need to clear issues around my relationships to cure my fear of driving. But that is exactly what happened. So in doing this work, we all get the healing that we came for. More often than that, we will heal from what was invisible to us. I have found that relationship healing is oftentimes the key to many of our issues. A wide variety of issues, from losing weight, having more connected relationships, healing chronic physical pain, forgiving the worst things that ever happened to you, losing what triggers you in relationships, feeling lighter, healing from grief, finding your personal success, getting unstuck, living with less stress. Hypnotherapy is a very effective way of healing in our relationships, resolving issues and events so they no longer create stress in our lives. Our lifespan today is greatly influenced by how many years our heart can hold up to the pressure of unresolved stress. Dr. Joe, I love Dr. Joe. Again, the subconscious mind knows exactly how to completely heal the body, mind, and the emotions. So the third part of the problem, and of course the solution too, is that you are energy. We are energetic beings. We are holographic in nature. And therefore, so is your subconscious. So the subconscious mind, energy resides in every cell of your body, and everything that has happened to you, past lives, parallel lives, even in this life, are all stored as data in your subconscious mind. And we talked about traumatic energy becoming crystallized. Well, this crystallized energy can also be passed down from generation to generation in our DNA. Cultural trauma and healing it is a hot topic right now. And when we heal a part of ourselves today, this healing can have an effect on the collective trauma, say like the Holocaust. And we will heal the collective consciousness. Your energy system is your soul, and it never forgets. So the third secret solution lies within your own transpersonal journey. All you have to do is begin by earnestly and seriously asking, who am I? Mind is an aspect of the soul. One reason that hypnotherapy is so effective is because, well, the subconscious is a bridge to your soul. So by connecting with your subconscious, we can connect to your higher self and source energy and clear events and limiting beliefs from all lifetimes, all space, and all dimensions. As holographic beings, it is important to clear events from all lifetimes. Oftentimes, the seed experience of our limiting beliefs happened in past lives. Using hypnotherapy, you are able to access these past lives and know what happened to you. With this insight, beliefs about yourself make perfect sense. Again, your soul never forgets. With every experience, thought, feeling, word, or action, we create psychological, neurological, and bioelectrochemical changes in every cell of our body. These become our personal energetic signatures, and they stick with us for lifetimes. So this is another reason why it is important to clear past life events. Oftentimes, when we experience traumatic events or a bad experience in a relationship in particular, are energy fragments. Remember when I was talking about my abusive relationship, and one of my coping mechanisms was disassociating. So I now understand that parts of my energy system, the parts that couldn't take it, fragmented and left. The good news, though, is that one of the most effective parts of the hypnotherapy that I do is the energy callback. It just creates a wonderful sense of peace and calmness and wholeness and certainty. This is a process of recovery. We are literally reclaiming and recovering these parts of our whole being that have been fragmented. Thus, we become whole again. You know, we make decisions and come to conclusions about ourselves and our bodies and our relationships to others, to the Creator, to the universe, based on our experiences. But your higher self knows if there is some data in the subconscious mind that is protecting you and can help you clear this if you don't need it anymore. It is also aware if there is something else that needs to be cleared before you can clear what you're working on. So if ever your subconscious mind has an issue with clearing something, we go straight to your higher self and ask for help. No matter what the situation in your life that you are trying to overcome, asking your higher self for help is always a good idea. Once you experience and practice connecting with your subconscious mind, your higher self, in hypnotherapy, you can use this skill at any time. This is part of your intuition. Your guides and resources are always there to help you as well. And we do work with them in the beginning to establish their presence. And we stay connected with them so they can always help you. So one of the most interesting things that I do is remote work, and it produces profound and lasting changes. Let me tell you about another client who was in a difficult relationship. Her husband was just distant, and she couldn't seem to connect with him. He lived with a lot of resentment and also had a hard time resolving issues. So we did a remote session, and that's oftentimes when I work as a surrogate and use another hypnotherapist to be the hypnotherapist. And we learned that we learned that he had had a twin during the Civil War. The twin had been killed and was put in a mass grave. Her husband had been lying next to his dead brother and was also thrown into the grave while he was still alive. He lay there and died. And as a result of this experience, he reported that he had lost all faith in humanity. I kid you not, I could not make this up. The best part is that it is totally applicable to the situation. So I don't think that she ever told her husband about the session. He did not believe in life after death, much less multiple lives. But she was able, in her own way, to offer some sort of grief and healing process to her husband. It gave her a whole other perception and insight and perspective about her husband. This session did help both of them to soften with each other, and they were both quicker to forgive. I also like to do hypnotherapy on horses. They too endure their traumas that affect their behavior. And so let me just tell you this story quickly. Popeye had conjunctive heart failure, and he was not going to live through the winter. He was dropping weight, his health was failing. He had a long-time stable buddy named Skipper. Skipper was old but healthy. But then all of a sudden, Skipper also started dropping just a considerable amount of weight. And he was getting weaker and weaker and close to dying. But I wanted to know what was going on. So again, with another hypnotherapist working as a surrogate, we talked to the higher selves of Popeye and Skipper. In this session, Popeye said it was time for him to leave, and he gave Skipper the okay to stay. Skipper agreed to stay and let Popeye go. So about a month later, Popeye did die a natural death. This was a couple of years ago, and Skipper is still sassy and eating his weight in grain. So my question is, how would you like to be able to witness your higher self talking to the higher self of a person close to you? So just for clarification of brain states of brainwave activity, beta is where most of us are now, unless anyone has fallen asleep. All alpha is like being on autopilot, like when you drive home and you don't remember the drive. You know, your GPS says you have arrived at your destination, and you're like, wait, how did I get here? That's alpha. Theta is that sweet spot between being awake and entering into a dreamlike state, and delta is deep, deep sleep. So theta is where the healing happens. And remember, too, that theta is the state your brain is in when you're being programmed as a child. So hypnosis is really a very deep, deep guided meditation, but guided in a very specific way that is designed just for you at that time. Your brain is led into the theta brainwave states. And when you lower your brain into theta, it's like opening the door to the quantum field where all things are possible. You know, the more time you spend in the quantum field, the more you understand your creative powers that come from God, love, the universe, your own source energy. As humans, we have a need to name it, to understand it, but it really is all you. You experience time is different. You are in a state where you become less matter and more energy. You can see that we are not separate beings, and yet this is your unique experience and your unique reality. Once you begin to see life from this perspective, it will completely alter your perspective, your actions, and even the meaning of and for relationships. So the last big problem that I wanted to talk to you about is stress syndrome. This is just one more area that wreaks havoc on our lives, and in particular in our relationships and how we connect to each other. This is important, but I'll be brief. The last big problem that I want to discuss today is stress, namely unresolved stress. Stress is one of the leading causes of death in our country today. It accelerates the aging process. and leads to all of these things: heart disease, obesity, diabetes, migraines, osteoporosis, high cholesterol, accelerated aging. So stress is really mostly just an imbalance of hormones. And interestingly, these hormones are regulated not by your brain, but by your heart. The body doesn't know the difference between a big stress and a little stress. So in this picture here, the red herky-jerky line is when your heart's not in coherence or stress. And on the right side, the green line shows coherence, not stress. While we cannot always control the situation, we can, with the proper tools, control our emotional reactions in any given situation. So instead of experiencing cortical inhibition, where you tend to make bad decisions, you can't listen, and you are not your most loving self, you can easily make a switch to heart-based living. Again, stress is not the situation you are in, but rather the emotion you tie to an event or a situation. So the fourth secret is to use HeartMath tools to stop stress syndrome. The HeartMath Institute has researched the power of the heart extensively. HeartMath tools enable you to control how you react to stress at any moment of any day, and these tools will stay with you forever once you learn them. Relationships happen in the space between us. So the heart emits an electromagnetic field that has been measured up to 12 feet around us. You've probably heard comments like, the energy in the room was off or full of joy or whatever. But that's because people's hearts are literally projecting their emotions into the electromagnetic fields around them, into the energetic fields around them. This is how our bodies pick up on the energy around us before a word is ever spoken. Have you ever known that, like, your partner was pissed off before you even walked into the door? Or that maybe there was something special planned? So your heart knows the answer within 3 minutes of an issue that comes up. Are you the right person for me? Is this the right job? Why am I really eating this? The heart has 40,000 plus neurotransmitters of its own, making it its own brain. The heart was also formed in the womb before the brain was. As a HeartMath coach, teaching people to use HeartMath tools and techniques in their everyday lives to manage stress is an integral part of my practice. I also incorporate HeartMath because it gives you instant access to what we have done in hypnotherapy sessions, but I don't have to be present. Heart intelligence is another form of intuition, precognition, and gives you access to your subconscious mind. It empowers you to take care of yourself, being in a state of coherence, which is measured by the time between the beats of your heart, puts your whole body in a state of ease. From here, we make better decisions, get into the zone, and overcome the problems that we face. One of the biggest problems in many of our relationships is that when someone starts to talk, well, our brains immediately start to form a rebuttal or a comment. We never actually hear what the other person is saying. HeartMath techniques, when practiced and used, will put you into a state of heart coherence, and from here you can listen deeply, comprehend what they are saying, remain neutral without overreacting, and have an appropriate non-triggered response. This allows you to not only hear, but to feel what the other person is saying. And after all, isn't being heard what most of us want in our relationships? Offering this to your relationship is one of the most loving things that we can do. The foundation of the HeartMath techniques is heart-focused breathing. So we have a little bit of time. I'm going to do a really quick demo. And in fact, this is called the quick coherence technique. And this is participation time. So We start with heart focus. You might want to put your hand on your heart. You can close your eyes or leave your eyes open, but it starts with focusing on the area around your heart. And then I'm going to ask you to breathe in and out of the area around your heart, maybe breathing a little slower. And now think of something that you're grateful for. And continuing to breathe in and out of the area around your heart. And just let this gratitude sink in. Okay. So how do you feel now? The best part is that these tools are extremely easy to learn. They are quick. They can be done at any time without anyone else knowing what you are doing, and they do have profound effects. The hardest part really is remembering to use them. So building personal resilience using heart math is the secret to stress management. You will experience better health and have a longer life. You will perform better. Your relationships will be more caring and more loving. You will have a greater sense of personal fulfillment. You will have more energy, and your overall sense of well-being and your quality of life will be better. So today we looked at these 4 problems and secret solutions. What happened? Sorry. So today we looked into these 4 problems and secret solutions: your subconscious mind, your troublesome and traumatic events, your holographic nature, and your personal stress syndrome. Your subconscious mind runs 95% of the show. No matter how much you try, your conscious mind will never outsmart your subconscious mind. And that is why we continue to make the same bad decisions over and over again. When our coping mechanisms outlive their usefulness and become limiting, these impair our ability to function, hinders us in some way, and then becomes a symptom. Unresolved stress from traumatic events shortens your lifespan, and the subconscious mind knows exactly how to completely heal the body, mind, and emotions. But because it has no volition of its own, it must be directed to do so. Cellular release hypnotherapy is the gentlest, most profound, and in some regards almost unexplainable and quickest healing process that I know of. We also talked about how troubling and traumatic events influence your subconscious mind, and clearing them turns them into a memory that no longer affects you in any way. Seed experiences that influence your subconscious mind today often happened in past lives, but we can clear them today, and that will have a lasting effect for lifetimes to come. Cellular release hypnotherapy is an effective access point to change the patterns, habits, and limiting beliefs of your subconscious mind. Hypnotherapy is safe, gentle, and extremely effective. Because mind is an aspect of the soul, the subconscious mind constitutes a bridge so that things held at the soul level can also be accessed and cleared. Asking, "Who am I?" is a direct step into your journey of awakening. You are an energetic and holographic being. We also don't want to forget that daily stress contributes to most of the leading causes of death and generally decreases your quality of life. Stress is not the situation you are in, but rather the emotion you attach to the situation. Heart math tools are easy, profound, and extremely effective. So that brings us to today. The choice is yours: the Bloody Basin Road or the Tranquil Trail. Do you prefer to stay in your mundane, same old, stuck life and relationships? Continue to manifest the same relationships over and over again? Stay on the same karmic hamster wheel forever? Never change, never grow, never have healthy relationships? Or would you rather experience a connection to others like never before? Truly heal your heart. Connect to your loved ones on a higher level. Understand your soul relationships. This is an actual sign that I took at a picture in Carefree, Arizona after a Dr. Joe workshop. So there are many hypnotherapists available to you, and many different types of hypnotherapy readily available. But the type of hypnotherapy that I do is not readily available. There are only a handful of people that have been trained in this way of working with your subconscious mind. And thanks to the power of technology and the internet, we don't even have to be in the same room to do this because I use Skype or Zoom. So if this is speaking to you, I invite you to book a free breakthrough session with me. Together, we will explore and develop the best program that is possible for you, answer any other lingering questions that you have, get to know one another, and see if we are a good fit to work together. And I want to hear what your heart and soul are calling you to do. I would be honored to work with you. So please remember that something greater than yourself brought you here today. And actually, the healing that you are seeking has already begun just by you showing up. All of the things that I promised you that you can learn is within you. The easiest way to access this healing potential is with a guide like me using hypnotherapy. Stress is not the situation we are in, but rather the emotions we assign to the situation. And this is easily and completely manageable with the right tools that I will teach you. Your heart already knows the answer. So these are just a few of the endless possibilities that I can offer you. So I ask, what part of your life would you like to change? Which relationship are you most concerned about? Your life partner or soulmate? Your parents, your brother or sister, your boss, your best friend, children, your dog or your horse? There are even hidden secrets in your best relationships. So my invitation to you at this point is to start believing in yourself. Experience more satisfying and deeper relationships. Discover your most authentic self. Experience more freedom in your surroundings. Be healthier. Manage your stress. Elevate your consciousness. Strengthen your connection to your divine and your higher self. Embrace the evolutionary consciousness shift and navigate it with joy. So now it looks like we have just a few minutes for questions. And if you put questions into the chat box, I am a one-man show, so I probably can't stop to answer them, but I will answer all of them after the webinar. And if you feel like your question is too personal, go ahead and book the discovery session and we can address them. So I only have 10 slots available in my program, and my booking calendar will be available for the next 72 hours. And I invite you to take a look at my scheduling page and find time that works best for you and book a free breakthrough session with me straight away. So that's at leannemclean.youcanbook.me. So thank you so much for staying with me. I hope that you got some insight into both your subconscious mind and your heart. And I look forward to growing a connection with each and every one of you.